Hey, listener. We hope you've enjoyed Season 5 of RecLess as much as we have. We are wrapping up the rest of this season and putting together new episodes for Season 6. But as we wait, we are going to highlight some new episodes from a spin-off podcast, This Parks and Rec Life. As much as we believe in professional development of ourselves as Parks and Rec professionals, we also know that we couldn't do this without a supportive home life. We hope that you enjoy these conversations and that they spark meaningful conversations for you. These episodes will be released in our feed currently, but in the future will be released in their own podcast channel and on YouTube. We hope you enjoy them. Now on with the show.
My love is a place you can always call home.
Welcome to This Parks and Rec Life, a podcast exploring the impact of a Parks and Recreation career on the home life of a professional and their family. I'm your host, Hannah Mize, and my co-host today is Chris Hunter, Superintendent of Park Operations at Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for having me. This is exciting.
And for those of you guys that have been listening along, you will recognize Chris from a former episode of RecLess. And also, he and his wife, Lakeisha, as former guests here on This Parks and Rec Life. So welcome back and thanks for being here. Our guests today are Jeff and Sarah Achee. And Jeff is the Assistant Director of Parks and Rec in Pflugerville, Texas. So I see Jeff quite a lot. And Sarah is in social work, but also has been my begrudging partner in crime as we have gone to different NRPA conferences, and we've had some great adventures together. So welcome to you two.
Thanks for having us. You know, you say begrudging, but she tells the stories all the time, so she likes it.
I do have to start out with Sarah and I have had some definite adventures. I am definitely an extroverted person. I enjoy being around other people. I like bringing other people along with my adventures. And so normally whenever we go to conference, I either switch off actually with Josh or Sarah, but they usually don't come together at the same time. Josh and I have gone and we've done sports museums and aquariums, and we bar hopped up and down Broadway in Nashville. But then Sarah's been there too. But then Sarah and I, on a different day, because Josh is also introverted and he needs a break from me. So Josh goes and takes his break, and then I go drag Sarah along. And we've gone to the spa. That was the best one.
It was great.
The spa was pretty fantastic. And
Yes.
then I managed to drag you into some shady taco place.
You did.
Those ended up being the best tacos we've ever had.
Best burrito taco I've ever had.
Oh my gosh, they
I
were
still
so
think
good.
about it.
What city was this? The tacos?
Phoenix.
That was in
Phoenix?
Phoenix. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was in Phoenix. And then whenever we were in Atlanta, I also dragged Sarah along with me to look at all the plants. So we hit up botanical gardens is what we do.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes.
And I
Atlanta was
think
a
it's
lo-
important to say that none of this is being done on the government credit card. This is all being, you got to say that.
100%. There is
Yes.
no government credit card being sent.
Yep.
Learn this lesson, professionals. Great to have your spouse there. Pay for it yourself.
Yes, absolutely. We pay for all of it ourselves. But then the best adventure was in Orlando when we were there. Sarah was not hanging out with me, and I was like, "Hey, I I have a great adventure. I need for you to come with me." And so I dragged her an hour north of Orlando. So usually Shane and I famously drive to all of these. So we had our car. So I dragged her to Silver Springs. That was it, right? Silver Springs, yes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. And we went on a manatee excursion in a clear kayak. And I was very upfront with what we were going to do. I don't think you knew what we were going to do.
It was manatees and monkeys,
There's a manatee and
actually.
monkey tour.
It was.
Wait, they got monkeys in Florida?
They do. So in this particular park, a long time ago, some person decided to turn it into a tourist trap. And so he bought a bunch of monkeys, like from not here in the United States, and
Okay.
brought them over to Florida. and they were supposed to not be able to swim. So he put them on this island because monkeys can't, and I put in quotations, swim, except these monkeys actually can indeed swim. So they swam off this island and then started procreating all over the place.
Oh
So
boy.
there are a bunch of monkeys there. We thankfully didn't see them because I think that might have done Sarah in.
I think that would have been the end of me.
Oh my.
The manatees themselves, and we did see some alligators out there too, and that was nearly the end as well. So
Yes.
I
it
knew
was-
manatees and I knew alligators. Had no idea the monkey was the thing, but it kind of explains a lot about what happens in Florida. Apparently, I don't know.
It's a wild
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
it was a wild world. So anyway, we had a good time. We had a good time.
Very
And I
Florida
have to
folks.
say, yeah, I have to say thank you to Sarah for being a very good sport, because she usually does go along with my crazy ideas. But-
You know, there's always an adventure with you.
We do have a good
got some
time. We
great
do have a good
photos.
time.
Share advertising for this episode.
Yeah.
Well, I think that fits right into, the question. You clearly, whatever linked you guys up, you picked well, Jeff. Tell everybody, how did you guys meet?
I picked early. So
Mm-hmm.
Sarah and I are high school sweethearts.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we went to separate high schools, but we grew up in a small town in Texas called Kerrville, which has become famous recently because of the July 4th floods, which happened very close to where both Sarah and I lived when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But we worked different high schools. We worked at a movie theater. We were 16 years old. And I was kind of a dorky guy that didn't understand that girls might like him. And so we worked for a little bit together, and then you got fired because you took a 3-week vacation for a part-time job. All park and rec professionals understand this. Imagine your lifeguards in the summer job asking for 3 weeks vacation.
Right.
And then being the dorky doofus I was, another girl that worked there expressed that she liked me. And so a week later, I asked her for Sarah's number because 16-year-olds are idiots.
So you crushed one heart to win another.
That's right. And
You
it worked
picked-
out.
You picked correctly, correct. Yeah.
It did, because here we are 21 years later. So
Yeah.
it worked out. But dumb 16-year-old. And so then we started dating in high school, went to college together, had a short little breakup. I transferred from the school we were at to Texas A&M, and then Sarah, we got back together. Sarah finished up before I did, moved over to College Station for a little bit while I was finishing up, and then here we are. Got married in 2011. So what is that? We'll be
We're
15
hitting
years
15 this year.
married.
Mhm.
Got a little 4-year-old, about to be 5-year-old this month. So yeah, we've been together a
Luca?
long.
Is that right?
Okay.
Did my research. Just,
There you go.
I watch Good Morning America every morning, so I got this thing down, right? So
Good research. So yeah,
that's so awesome.
we've been together a long time. I think it's an important story, honestly, for this conversation, because I was, like I've already mentioned, a pretty dumb 16-year-old. And that goes on into being a dumb 17 and 18-year-old and beyond. And so I wasn't very ambitious. I wasn't really looking for what I wanted to do with my life. Sarah and I've got, my family's great. Sarah's family, I got to add additional parents really early on. And so Sarah's really shaped me, supported me through all this, high school to college into the industry. And so she's a huge part of who I am, because we've helped shape each other since we were teenagers.
As you see me getting closer to the camera, I'm sitting here scratching my head, wondering, the skin tone's a little different, but are we brothers, Jeff? Is it possible you and I could be brothers? Your story is so similar, or maybe Sarah's my wife's sister. It's the same, right? Dumb kid, didn't know what he wanted, had no idea about life, and along comes this wonderful woman that molds you into this professional that is now renowned countrywide. And well, I'm not renowned. You are. And you know, wow.
Everyone can
So
thank you.
similar.
You guys are all welcome.
Renowned. Yeah. But
So
truly,
Sarah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And you guys have both done really amazing things. And Luca's the best little friend. I got to hang out with him last weekend, actually. He's so cute. So Sarah, as you guys have transitioned into being 16-year-old kids and then going to college, and then you watch Jeff start to transition into this career. Um, what has that been like for you? I mean, because it went from him just kind of working kind of entry level into this thing that he's doing now where he's advocating at our state level. I'm an assistant director. He's doing all these things. How has that transition been for you as you've watched him go through that?
It has been shocking. I will tell you.
It's true.
Yeah, so we started dating when we were in high school, and I would have to go home and study. I would have to go do my homework. And this one didn't know what homework was. You know, we would be in college. He would go out with friends. And I'm like, I have a final tomorrow. Like, don't you need to study? And he'd be like, nah, it's fine. And now that he's like this far advanced in his career, like, yeah, going to the capital of Texas and talking to people. And I'm just like, who are you and where did you come from? Because that is not the 16-year-old that I got together with. It's been crazy. Like the whole transformation has been pretty insane to witness and be a part of.
I'm just sending the link to 23andMe. We got to find this out. This is uncanny. We are
accountability
related.
of these ladies.
We are related.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, and as he has gone through and done all this, I think that and you and I have had this conversation a lot, Sarah, of how do you start to reconcile schedules and stuff? Like, how do you start to reconcile he went from a guy that was goofy and was constantly messing around, but was probably there anytime that you needed him to be, and would answer the phone and could come whenever you needed him to be around, to this job where there's a lot that's asked of him now, where he's on call as we're even, I'm watching the clock today because there's this meeting that's upcoming that both of our husbands have to be on here in a little bit. But you know, where there's a lot of it that it's hard. So how have you reconciled that? Have you reconciled that? Is this something, how do you work through this in the different stages?
Well, you know, I thought I had it figured out, and then things changed, and then I didn't have it figured out again, and then I figured it out, and then it changed, and I haven't figured it out again. So, you know, I'm not sure I have figured it out. I basically have just reconciled that I will never figure it out, maybe, and that it will never be a constant. I will never know when he's going to come home. Is basically how I have reconciled it. When he was working entry level in Harker Heights, I had somewhat of an idea of that, like, you know, he's going to be working late tonight, he's got games or whatever. But as he's, you know, been promoted and moved up to director and now assistant director in Pflugerville, you're being very distracting. Sorry, he's like messing with his computer. I've had to, you know, meetings come up like on a whim. And when I think like he's working from home, oh, never mind, I have to go in, you know. So I basically have had to stop assuming that I know what his schedule is going to be and take it day by day. Like, when do you think that you will be home today? Not even when will you be home, because that will not be correct, most likely.
So, Sarah, I've got a follow up to that.
Okay.
And you are a wonderful woman. We all know that to this point in this interview. We know that. But I want you to be honest with me. Because when you meet my wife, I would think that she will admit that people, when we say we got all these things that are keeping us at work late, long, but you work for Park and Rec. You kick basketballs around and soccer ball. How important could it really be? Like, did it get old like early on to say, wait a minute, buddy, hold on there, pal. You need to bring your behind home, right? Did you ever have those moments where you thought, I don't really fully understand what you're doing, but could it really be that
Yes,
important?
all the time. I'm like, so are you coming home late because you and Shane are just hanging out? Are
You'll
you
never know.
coming home late because there's like a real reason with somebody?
Right.
Shane is my boss, so
So
hanging
yeah.
out is part of the job.
You got to do what he says, right?
Well, and also you must know my husband is what I like to call a chatty Cathy, and he gets FOMO. And so yes, I often am like, okay, could you be coming home? Like, could we have fear of missing out at home rather than fear of missing out at work? If we do struggle with that.
I've never heard that acronym FOMO. I think that I like that. That makes it. My wife, I tell her all the time. You guys remember the show? I don't know if you watched it, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David.
Oh, it's the best show that's ever been.
Ever, right?
Love that show so much.
He had this thing about stop and chats, right? Don't do the stop and chat. Don't pause and talk to everybody at the line at the grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Right?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't find myself, I don't think I'm very much like Larry David, but Larry David is Sarah's spirit animal.
Oh wow.
Absolutely.
He's a lot meaner than me, though.
No, that's true.
But I do agree
But
with him on lots of
you
things.
have those thoughts. Yeah,
I never knew who Larry David was. I didn't watch Seinfeld when it was in production, but I learned about Curb Your Enthusiasm, fell in love with it, and then I went back and watched Seinfeld, and it made so much better sense to me. So I love Larry
Yes.
David. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's awesome.
And I think
Um,
hard. I was gonna say, I think it is hard from the Park and Rec perspective because, yeah, like when you're an entry level professional, I was an athletic coordinator, which a lot of us has started in that part of the field, or anything is like this, where you got a lot of nights and weekends, but you pretty well know, you're not really dictating when you're there. You've got supervisors, and so you could look out. I remember having our monthly calendar, and I knew what nights I was going to work, and so I
Right.
could. And it was a lot of nights. It was a lot of nights and every other Saturday. But I could say, I know what it is the next
We
month
knew
and
in
a half.
advance.
right.
And we didn't have a kid at that time, and things were different. But as you move up, your requirements to be there, there's no one telling you got to be there late tonight, but you have a job to accomplish. You're now
Right.
the leader. And
Sure.
so sometimes, yeah, I was supposed to get off at 5 today. Something just happened. I just started talking with a citizen about an issue, and now I'm here till 7. That didn't happen as often when other people were dictating my schedule, or I was helping to plan that out. And then once you get into director and assistant director level, then you never know. When you have council meetings, and when you have park commission meetings, and outside of that, anything and everything can happen.
And you're on call a lot more.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes.
you're easily accessible when you're higher up. And so even though, like, say he did work from home or whatever, like he could still get a call at 8 o'clock at night from somebody because something's happening and all that. Like, it's never ending almost.
I think early on, it kind of flip flops, but it's the same. Early on in your career, when you're a programmer, you have no say. They put you on a schedule for nights and weekends. That's just what you have to do. And you think it sucks, man. Dang, I wish I could go to the ball game with you or whatever, the party, but I've got to work. And then you flip it, spend some time, and then you get into the management side of it. And you think, okay, well, I should be able to kind of move a little bit more freely. But no, council people are reaching out and grabbing you, and citizens are reaching out and grabbing you, and situations are reaching out and grabbing you. So, it's one of those things that, you really don't understand. You think, I'm 27 years in the profession. And, along the way, I thought, okay, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. And every step I take, it's not better. It's just a little bit different, but kind of the same. So,
Yeah.
so I have this little saying that I think I made it. I think I've invented it. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody that hears this from the millions of people that listen to this podcast are going to say, he didn't make that up. I make that up. We say we work so you can play, right? Here in Mecklenburg. What are some of the things, guys, that, you can share with me about, how do you guys find the way? I think, Luca, you said he's 4.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously things changed when he came along. We got to be a little bit more regimented when it comes to, life now, because it really just got serious. But how do you guys structure that? Okay, while I do have to work, and while Sarah does have to do what Sarah has to do, how do you guys structure so that you make sure that you do get that needed time as family?
So this was like a major conversation we had before we had Luca, because I had expressed my concerns, like, your schedule is all over the place. And if we're going to bring a child into this world, I'm going to need you to be home a little bit more, or be on a little bit more of a schedule or something. I don't want our kids to grow up thinking daddy's just always at work. Daddy, I didn't want to have to give that excuse. Well, daddy has to work late. Well, daddy has to work. Like, I didn't want to have to use that excuse so often, and like put that almost a negative connotation on it.
Right.
And so the good thing about being a Parks and Rec professional is that you can take your kid to work and you can show your kid what you're doing all day long, And so I think that's something Jeffrey has done really, really well, is he has like immersed Luca into his work world, if you will, and have like when he's not working, like on weekends, like he and Luca have that quality time together. They go hiking at parks, they go down to Pflugerville, and Jeffrey gets to show him like, hey, I helped build this park, and take him to his office and take him to all the things that Pflugerville is doing. And so I think that has been a really big, important part of our life and Luca's life, is making sure that he sees like, daddy has to work late tonight and has a meeting or whatever, but he's building a really cool park, and like being able to put that spin on it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that Luca takes interest in knowing that daddy's doing this really important work. I have twin daughters who are now 25 years old. But when I used to drag them along to take them to my office, where I'm from, people in my family, they don't sit behind desks. My family are laborers, textiles and all that stuff. So I think it's pretty cool that I've been able to do what I've done. So I'd bring my kids in and bring them and let them sit in daddy's office. Yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah.
Why do we have to be here? So I'm glad Luca is different that way.
There were two things that I was going to be, parenting what I've learned. We have one kid. We, have been married for almost 15 years, but we have a 4-year-old. So we had trouble getting pregnant. We had to go through the IVF process. It was about a 4 or 5 year process.
Wow.
Between deciding we were going to have a kid and then him being here. And so with that, and he's going to be an only child, just for, some of the things that went into giving birth and things like that. But so part of that was I'm going to be very intentional about some stuff. And then also I'm a little older as a new parent. And so I have some perspective that I know this is not going to go how I want it to go.
Sure.
It's going to go all which way, just like be working in this field. But one was he's going to be a San Antonio Spurs fan. And so I don't know how many games Luca's been to. We're 2 hours from San Antonio, but he's been to 15 games probably. And
wow.
Massive fan. We watch every game. He just started like 3 days ago referring to the Spurs as we, sports fans do that, where it's like, hey, we're doing really good tonight.
Right.
He started doing that. Proudest moment as a parent.
So let me ask you, how far? I'm not familiar with Pflugerville. I got to learn more about it. Shane and I met, at conference, and Jay. I know Jay from he worked with me. So yeah. Where's Pflugerville in relation to San Antonio?
So San Antonio and Austin are almost becoming this like metroplex. All the cities in between them are growing, but we're northeast of Austin. We're a northeast suburb of Austin.
Okay,
and then we're Central Texas. San Antonio's a little further south, like South Central Texas, down Interstate 35. For us, we live a little bit north of Pflugerville, so it's about 2 hours down to San Antonio. It's about 45 minutes for me to get to Pflugerville. But it's all decently close. I mean, we live in a good spot. Pflugerville's in a good spot where you're accessible to most things, but in Texas, which is a big state. But yeah, and then the other thing was having him understand why I'm gone. Exactly what Sarah just said, and for a while, I think he's getting that it's a little bit deeper than this, but for a while he would just tell people his dad builds playgrounds, which is great. I mean, that's fun. And I think he's, I've taken him to events. If I'm not required to be working something, or even if I am, but it's sort of I have light responsibility for that event, I'll bring him along so that he can see it, and you get to see the back end stuff. And I took him to our Easter egg event last year, and he gets the prize for golden egg, even though he didn't get a golden egg. And so,
right,
it's all that
Perks.
fun stuff, the perks,
All the perks.
So Hannah, I can't remember what episode it was. It was on the other podcast with the guys.
Mhm.
They brought up something I never realized that until I heard them say it out of their mouths. All the perks that our families get at these events, right? Getting to ride on the golf cart while everybody else has got to make the long walk, getting the golden egg prize. So there are some wonderful little nuggets that, all the work, it pays off for the kids and family.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. Yes, yes. And as we're talking about perks, this is something that you guys have mentioned that Jeff and Sarah, y'all don't live in Pflugerville, and we've had a couple of people on our episode that have talked about how great it is, and that they recommend definitely move to the town that you work in. Right, like definitely work there. But I know, Sarah, you've also said I would never want to live in the town where he works in. So, can you guys talk a little bit about like pros and cons of serving your community but not living in your community?
Yes, so there are lots of pros and cons. We don't know any different. So before Pflugerville, Jeffrey worked in Harker Heights, which was still a commute. It's a different town. It's obviously not as far. It's like 15-20 minutes, but it's still, when you get off at 6, like you're still not getting home at 6:10, you're getting home closer to 6:30. So I don't really know any different of what it would be like to live in town, or in the town that Jeffrey's working in. But some of the pros for not like living in that town is that when he's home, he can go to the grocery store without people coming up to him to complain. Like there have been things that have gone on in Pflugerville and in Heights that Jeffrey was like, man, like I'm really glad, like I don't have to.
I don't have to see that coach I just kicked out.
Yes.
Told me to
Yes.
Right. So it is kind of nice not living in the town, that we're able to like separate that a little bit. And I think it has been really nice also for Jeffrey. Like the commute sucks a lot, because especially to Pflugerville, like it can be anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. And so it sucks for me, but I think it's really nice for Jeffrey because he's one of those people who has a hard time not taking his work home. And so I think it kind of gives him that time to decompress a little bit and like get his thoughts out, like, think about it on the drive home. And then once he's home, it's kind of out. And so he can fully be present like at home. So that has been a big pro, I think. But the biggest con then also is the commute.
The commute.
Yeah. Getting out of a 10 o'clock late council meeting, it's not a quick drive home, and so,
right.
But again, we don't know any different. I think there would be a lot of pros to living in the community. I've seen it with Shane. You build a lot of trust with people when you do live there. They love hearing that. They love hearing that you live there. They're not always too keen to hear that you commute in from another town and make decisions for their community. You have to be even more aware of what that community wants and immerse yourself in it, so that they still trust you. I think I've been able to do that in the 2 places that I've worked, but it is something that they do care about. People will ask where you live. Yeah, I mean the drive is is tough. I think we don't focus enough on, Shane and I have talked about this a lot. Matter of fact, we did a presentation to some young professionals in Texas about work-life balance being a hoax. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. We immerse ourselves in our work. One of my favorite quotes is long, but it's along the lines of, you shouldn't be able to tell a difference between a man's work and his play. They should be so intertwined that it's just a part of who that person is. And I think that that's really true. With that being said, we've been where we live long enough that we have these friends that live in our neighborhood that, our kids call each other's parents, Uncle Jeff and Aunt Sarah and vice versa. And so it was important to us. I certainly considered when I got the job in Pflugerville, should we move closer or should we move to Pflugerville? And ultimately it was striking that balance of what's best for us as a family, not just what's best for me and what's easier for me to explain to the community or understanding the community, but we couldn't leave that. And, fortunately that job came about, which did allow me to still live where I live and just drive in. But those things are hugely important. And again, I still work my late nights. I still immerse myself in my work. And I also have this home life and this group of friends that mean the world to us.
That support system is so incredibly important. I'm glad that you guys have that. Sarah, what would you say is your favorite part of watching Jeff do this thing? I know that you get to see him do different things, I know one of my favorite things is just watching Shane at an event, just the way he's a little bit different. Like, I get to see him of what he looks like whenever he's at home, but when he's out in the community, the way that he interacts with people, the way that he supports his staff, but then just to see the way that he's different. I get to appreciate him in his natural element. What would you say is your favorite part about watching Jeff as he's done this? And he's done a lot of different things.
Hey, Hannah, before
Yes.
she answers, can I add to your question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, Sarah, when you see your wonderful husband out and he's being wonderful and maybe moms, soccer kids want to tell him how much they appreciate him, does that bother you at all, one? And then when people are yelling and screaming at him at council meetings, how does that make you feel?
Well, I am not ever there for the soccer moms, but they can hop off. But also, we've been together for a real long time, and so I'm unconcerned.
I've usually kicked out enough of the soccer moms' husbands that they don't like me that much, so it's fine.
But I will say, when we get home from conference, I got to do a little head deflating, okay? So that's what wives are for, right? But it is hard when council, city, citizens, whatever, are upset with your spouse, husband. It is really hard to hear that and see it on Facebook comments and all that kind of stuff, especially Hannah knows right now there's lots of stuff going on in Pflugerville, and everybody just get lumped in. And when the behind the scenes of why decisions were made and why things are the way they are and all that kind of stuff, and then having to hear council or citizens question them, and you're just like, you guys got so wrong. Right. Everything is it's
not
really
black and
hard.
white. Yeah.
And so I basically just try to support Jeffrey in however he needs in that, and I stay away from comments, and I just try to stay away from all that stuff. But then for you, Hannah, a lot of what you said is how it is with Jeffrey too. I've known him since he was 16. So I have this preconceived notion of what he's like. And then
my long hair and earrings.
Yeah. Yes. And now going and seeing him do presentations or seeing him do stuff at the conferences and stuff, I'm just like, who is this person? Okay, I see you. it is. It's like seeing a whole different person because I don't ever get to see him at work because he works so far away, so it's been a lot of fun to see him do his work and see what everybody else is seeing in him. I'm just like, oh, okay, you are kind of good at this. Okay, I get it. You're not that great, but you're pretty good.
That's so awesome. So
It's humbling.
I want to jump
She's
back
just
to
keeping you down here.
Yeah.
I want to jump back to the previous topic and just this is a public service announcement to all the wives or girlfriends who are listening to this of why we all work so late, or boyfriends or husbands. All of us are underfunded. Most of us are non-mandated services. So none of us have the staff that we need to do all the things that our communities ask us to do. So someone has to fill that gap.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why the assistant director is still there late. That's why when, you're a rec programmer, you're doing all those things. So it's not that we're all a bunch of dummies and we're just up there just spinning our wheels. It's just there are too many jobs and not enough people, right?
Yep.
So, Sarah, I'd like for you to look into camera 6 right there. That's what they do on Good Morning America. Look into camera 6 and talk to the girlfriend of a young professional and help them understand what they're about to embark on should they choose to be with the person that they're with into the future. Talk to them about what they can expect, now, before kids, once kids arrive, and so forth.
Jeez, that's a very long question. Okay.
Camera 6.
Yes. All right, here we go. Now, just expect the unexpected. Just know that you're not going to have that routine set schedule. Your friends and family will not understand why your spouse is working late that day or why they said like, oh, I thought they work from home on these certain days and they're at the office.
Or what we do in general.
Or what they do in general. Yes. It is somewhat like the TV show, but also not. So I would say all of it is hard and you have to get things figured out probably from the get-go, because if you don't, how many years in are we? How long have you been doing
13.
this? 13 years. And we're still trying to figure out how to have a routine and to communicate about those routines and expectations and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard when it's just the two of y'all, but it's a lot more manageable because it's just the two people. I just did my own thing. You're working late? Great. I'm going to go to book club. I'm going to make this for dinner because you're not going to be home. I get to do whatever I want,
Right.
But once the kids come along, it changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to be intentional on how you word things, making sure you're spending good quality time, and just really communicating what your needs are with the kid, but while being very understanding of what their job entails and what is expected of them. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It absolutely does. And Jeffrey, I picked up on that too, by the way. Jeffrey.
I'm sorry. I
love it. I love it. So Jeffrey, you're going to look into camera 2 and you're going to help young pros understand all the boneheaded moves that they're going to make where they take their wives, their spouses, their girlfriends for granted. And you're going to help them not do that. So share with them some of the things that they need to be aware of, the mistakes that they're going to make, but you're going to prevent them from making.
Yeah, that's a big one. That might even be more difficult. It is not just a career path, right? This is a lifestyle, working in Parks and Recreation. And a lot of careers are like that, not trying to put Parks and Rec above all else, or all others, but it absolutely is something that's not routine. It's a little bit crazy. It's stressful. That's the other thing that's tough to explain to people, especially as an entry-level professional or getting into the fields, that this is stressful. going back to what you said, aren't y'all kicking balls and playing sports? It's, someone is, we aren't.
Right.
And so a lot of what it is that we do, especially early on, is it's a lot of stress. It's high stress. It's a lot of responsibility, especially when you haven't had a lot of that previously. You may not be managing people even at that point, or staff at that point, but you might be managing hundreds of volunteers or referees or lifeguards or whatever. So the responsibility is heavy on your shoulders, and you have to communicate that well to your spouse or your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend. It's not going to be something that's easily understood from the outside.
Sure.
And if that's not communicated well, what that schedule looks like, what the responsibility looks like, but also why you're passionate about it. I think even when things get really frustrating for us, Sarah can tell herself, because we've talked about this for so long, this is what Jeffrey loves to do. This is his passion. He does a lot of things outside of what he gets paid to do because he's passionate about this. You have to talk to the people around you, that you're going to miss dinners. It's not only your spouse, you're going to miss things with your friends and family too. And you need to explain that this is something that's really important. Over communicate. I'm still not good at that. I still don't communicate properly. But again, I think having the conversation about this being something that I cared very, very deeply about will allow you to get out of some of those situations, but not all of them. You have to communicate, what it is that this job is going to entail, how it makes you feel. They should be a rock for you, because things can feel unstable a lot, and,
Right.
and feel like the world's crashing in around you and you're alone. And so you need those people around you. It's really important, and that it's probably always going to be hard, but if you can include your family on what it is that you do, that can help tremendously.
But I think it doesn't help us as professionals that we don't get paid a lot, right? If I suspect, Sarah, if Jeffrey were a banker and he was spending the same amount of hours doing it, but he was bringing home big money, right? He was an investment banker, might make it a little easier that you could go shop at whatever place that for things you love, or go on whatever vacation you would want to do, because of the reward for what he was doing was tangible. Our reward is we're making our communities better, right? And that might not mean a whole hill of beans to you, having to do all the things around the house while he's out doing his thing. That's key point number one. And then two, I think for people like Jeffrey and I, who finally get our lives together, who finally realize that I need to clean up and become an adult, we're serious about it, and we want to do it right. And that lends us to making spending too. So
Yeah. And I think Sarah has the benefit of having seen the process of like, okay, I'm about to graduate college. What do I want to do? I wanted to be a sports writer. And so very, very different, although I probably make more money than a sports writer. So you're welcome for that.
Yep.
Especially I wanted to work for newspapers. So
oh yeah, you made the right choice, Pat, buddy.
definitely.
Yeah.
But she's been there for part of the process. And, most people, not most, but a lot of people will find their partner once they're already a working professional, and they may not have seen what went into the decision to get into this field, the early stages of what it's like. And so again, going back to communication, that has to be a huge part. This is a part of who I am at this point, and so articulating that to the people around you is probably even more important, because they, like I said with Sarah, she was there for the process. Sometimes they aren't.
Yep.
I agree with that. As you are watching Sarah be your spouse and be your rock, what's your favorite part about having her as your spouse and partner in this journey? And how do you show up for her to make sure that she knows that you appreciate that?
That second part, I'm still struggling. You're not going to get a good answer. Sorry. I mean, the theme here for our episode is we've been doing this for so long, she's been part of the process. Sarah has been that for me forever. Like I said, I mean, she was there in high school when I was goofing off and was my accountability partner very early on. And so we had that all the way through college. We had that into the early stages of figuring out what it is I was going to do, because Sarah's got an accounting background. She was going to be fine wherever she went. And now she's found a sort of different path with that, working in nonprofit. But still, she always had a good idea of what it was she was good at and what she liked. And I was sort of figuring things out. But things have been, over the course of that 13 years, very stressful, to the point where you come home wondering, do I like this? Am I sure this is my passion? And she's always kept me on the grounded, being able to sort of bring myself back down to earth and understand that no matter what happens at work or with that community, that here's a safe space. And then, like I said, with Luca, she never ever says anything, if I'm working late, I'm not going to see them that night. It's never, yeah, well, Dad's working late again. It's always, yeah, Daddy has to go tell people about building playgrounds or building parks. And so he'll ask me that the next morning sometimes when he wakes up, and he'll say, did y'all build a park last night? Sarah had said that. And it's like, no, but we maybe got some funding for the future to do that in 4 years based on our capital improvement program. So, he gets it, because she's also saying it. It's not just me,
Hannah, you can kick me later. If I'm dominating, you don't have to ever invite me back to do this.
Go ahead.
Jeff, right now, based on what you just told me, you need to lean over right now and give your wife a kiss on her cheek.
Oh, good grief.
Such a wonderful wife to say, yeah, your dad is out there doing whatever again, I'm over here doing all the work, but he's out there, but supporting you that way. That is huge, right?
Yep.
Not to put your son in a mindset that, daddy's off because whatever reason, he's off doing something wonderful, that he can have that in his mind. And as he grows, it'll only get better for him. So kudos to you for doing that, Sarah.
She's wonderful. And I honestly don't think I think that's something we're working through right now. I don't feel that I reciprocate that enough. I think I do it in the ways that she does it for me. And that's not the platinum rule. It's the treat others how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated.
Right.
And so I think we're figuring that out. And I think that's sort of a lesson too, is that you're not going to figure out the perfect thing to do. But on my best days, I take some of the responsibility off of you. On my worst days, I, lurch in and sort of be a fly on the wall in the house. So there's things to figure out there. And I think we're sort of, now with a 4-year-old that can, go stay. He's been able to for a little bit now, but go stay with somebody else for a night or whatever. We're being a little bit more intentional about spending our time together. And our PA, honestly, has been a great one, because it's, I'm going and Sarah gets a week with Hannah or the hotel room and a book. And so we try to plan things when we're there that we probably need to be better about that too, doing things together during that week, getting there early or something. But there's intentionality about that I think, we always need to be better.
And I think that's also important to remember too. And as you guys have said, and Chris, we talked about this on y'all's episode too. It's always changing. Just whenever you think that you've gotten something figured out, and this goes whether it's with your children or whether it's with your career, or it doesn't matter. About the time that you have it figured out, something changes. And then it's time to have that conversation again and regroup. And so I think constant communication and constant course correction it's not a weakness. It's actually a sign that you're very aware of what's going on and you're being very intentional. I think it's a sign of a healthy relationship. So don't beat yourself up on it if you're still working your way through it. Aren't we all?
Right.
Yep.
I agree 100%. 100%. Guys, my last formal question before we go into something fun real quick, I think as we get to the point where we wrap up, goes with each of you. What one thing knowing, and let me, before I ask that question, let me give Hannah some kudos for doing this platform. She is, I'm nearing the end of my career in park and recreation. I'm going to get off this train here in a few years, but I hate that I just now got to meet you guys, because what you and Shane and all the guys are doing is just so wonderful. So kudos to you guys for having this platform for discussion. What one thing that you guys would change as it relates to the profession, if they're in Pflugerville or whatever the next stop on your journey is, what processes would you put in place as an AD or the director to say this is how we're going to do a better job of supporting our staff and their families? Is there anything that comes to mind that you would put in place as a part of your operation, right? Or is it just like, say, we all do now, fit in, get in where we fit in and make it work?
Great question.
It is a good question. I actually think as an industry, we're probably getting a little bit better at this. Again, I don't know that work-life balance is the right phrase for it, just because of the connotation with that it's sort of like, for anyone that's seen the Severance show, where it's like you go to work and that's a whole life, and then when you leave, you forget about it and you have a whole different life. We're not, I don't think anyone is in that
Right.
sort of industry, unless you're on that TV show. But us in particular, it's a difficult, it's a difficult schedule. It's a difficult set of responsibilities, and you're not getting, I have a lot of friends who make a lot more money than I do. And, I think I work just as hard as they do, but so you don't have that as a reward either. But I think that we're getting a little better in regard to, like, allowing people the time with their family, not putting such strict scheduling requirements. I will say, coming to Pflugerville in particular, that's something that's been incredible. They're very flexible in what they allow you to do. I think a lot of cities have sort of moved to what the private industry is doing, where you get a day to work from home, so that you're just, for me, I don't have that 45-minute drive. I'm just home when the day ends.
Right.
And so I think moving to a lot more flexible scheduling, sort of taken away from the micromanagement, because as much as we've said for my entire career, and I'm sure much longer than that, no one likes a micromanaging leader, we still have it, and we do it sometimes, right? If council or the mayor's eyes are on something, we are now micromanaging whatever that thing is, because we want to make sure it's done right. But I think we're getting better at trusting our employees to do whatever they need to do in their life to get their work done and come in a happier person in their, a happier and better spouse in their personal life.
Right.
I don't know what one thing could be done to do that. I do know in Pflugerville, anywhere I've worked, I've really tried to build some of these outside events for staff so that we get to know each other. I think it's really special to have a close relationship with Hannah. And I think it's really special for Sarah to have a close relationship with Hannah. And there's several of our staff members that we know each other's spouses, their kids. And I think that that's a huge benefit, because then a little bit more about that person's home life and what they're going through. And I think that's been huge for me, just as a person, to realize that everyone I work with is a human, not a cog in this machine. And it helps tremendously just to know the people that are around them in their personal life. And so, one of those things we can control, which is getting to know the people around us. The other is sort of happening slowly, I think, in the industry and just in culture in general, where we're allowing people to get their job done, and we're trusting them a little bit more to get their job done in their own way. And I think we could get a little better at that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I tell you what, I'll answer that question too. I think any municipality, city, county, park district, or park commissions, I think it would be a great thing if cities and counties would allow their staffs. We're so worried about public perception, and I get it, it's important, but you shouldn't have to worry about where your kid's going to be for summer, right? So giving you the opportunity to have early registration to get your kid in the summer camp, and or a discounted rate for him to come play basketball at your rec center, and I get it, But at the same time, we all make the, oh, well, we're public dollars. I get it, but we ain't making a lot of public dollars. So we're trying to make all this stuff work. We all know that we're working a whole lot of hours we ain't getting paid for, essentially. So there's my spiel. I'll get off my soapbox, but
Tom has one of the best examples of this I've heard in Parks and Rec, where his kids go to daycare in the building he works.
Really?
So
Yeah.
so he's taking them down to the daycare, and if something happens, he's in the building
right there.
And so,
and
I don't
if
know
they
that
have like
that's
a party or something, he's there too. He gets to pop in on them during the day and see. So that right there, yeah, he's got a good setup.
I had 1 year of the girls. Now remember, I got twins, got 2 little girls with pigtails. Their mom's a nurse, so she has to get off to work at 5:30 in the morning, and I got to try to get up and squeeze together pigtails. So it was stressful, man. I was under a lot of pressure, guys. But 1 year, when they were getting ready to go to pre-K, I actually moved from a recreation center and moved into a school site. It was a partnership between the school system and park, where basically after school, the gym turned into a rec center. 1 year, I got them into the pre-K program there at the school where I worked. So for 1 year, I got to do exactly what you just described for Tom. I got to go over to their class and just peek in the door and watch them play with the other kids and do all the birthday stuff. It was wonderful, but it only lasted 1 year because then they had to go back to their regular school, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that since you're saying that, I think that might be my answer, especially since I have a 4-year-old who's in pre-K.
There it
is figuring out how to blur those lines a little bit
Yep.
of the disconnection between parent and child.
And I think if policymakers say it out loud, say it up front, there's nothing to hide. Nobody's doing anything wrong or unscrupulous. This is what we're doing for our people because we asked them to work really hard. Get out of my face.
Yep. I wish I would hear that just once. I want to hear that.
I love it. We've really appreciated you guys being here today. And we've got a couple little things to wrap up really quickly. But before we get to that, do you guys have any questions for us?
Oh gosh, I didn't prepare for that.
He didn't prepare at all.
Well, you can think about it.
Questions about what we were going to be asked.
We'll think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. That's so funny. I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean to stress you out before the interview.
I actually do have a question because obviously I'm figuring this out. I didn't have a great answer for it.
Here we go.
Chris, what do you do for your wife to sort of make up for, some of the time lost? And then Hannah, what does Shane do for you?
Damn, Jeff, I thought we were cool, bro. Where you go?
Maybe you're not really.
I'm trying to learn.
I'm a giver. I try my best. My wife, and fortunately for me, my wife has simple taste. She's a thrifty person. She doesn't need anything extravagant, but the things that she likes, my wife loves Bath and Body Works, right? It's ridiculous. Sarah, if you came to my house, I could take you into the bathroom. You could just go shopping and she would never miss it, right? Lotions, candles. So she's always getting a Bath and Body Works gift card. She loves like little discount stores like Ross. She loves to find the bargain, right?
I think Lakeisha and Sarah are going to have a lot to talk about.
I'm telling you, man, there's something there, right?
Well.
I love a good deal.
There's something there, but I do my best to make sure that if you heard it, my episode of RecLess, my hobby is woodworking, so I'm always making her nice little things that nobody else has because I made it for her and striving something on something. And I know at this point she's kind of getting a little over that, but I enjoy doing it. So whatever, get over it.
That's adorable.
You need to build her storage for her Bath and Body Works.
There we go.
See?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's why we connected you guys today.
That's
Y'all
what
are
I'm
coming
talking
up
about.
with all the
Yeah.
ideas.
And then I might
Nice.
need you to build something for me too, because I'm not a woodworker. So
Hey, we'll
not
talk.
Not very handy myself. I got to get better.
That's funny. Shane is an excellent gift giver. So, I mean, as far as like showing up for me, he's very, very thoughtful. And there's really never anything that I want for ever. He's a great listener and I'm always worried that I'm not showing up enough for him because he's very good at taking care of me. I'm pretty spoiled, actually. Jeff knows this already. So does Sarah.
People are just learning, but people around Shane wouldn't guess these things.
No,
So they learn a lot about Shane through these podcasts.
That's probably maybe I should not share all of the secrets.
No, down that.
Well, I think did you have a couple of quick
Yep.
hitter questions? All right,
I
let's
do.
go for it.
Let's do this, guys. All right. So to make it easy, I'm gonna go 4 of these things for each of you. So I'm gonna start with Sarah. Ladies first. Sarah, I'm gonna give you a statement, and you're gonna answer it as if you were Jeff. Okay. This is all
I like that.
about Jeff, right?
I like.
If Jeff won the lottery, he would.
Oh, geez. Well, he would spend it all. I can tell you that.
There it is.
Boy likes to spend money. He would spend it on Spurs.
We'd go to every Spurs game.
Spurs game.
That's what's up. I ain't mad.
He would sit in that box.
Money is only good for spending.
To meet Wimby.
Well, depending on
And
how much I
hanging out
win, I
with
might just buy the
Wemby.
team.
He would do that. Yes.
Depending on the size of that lottery and what
Yes.
the cash payout would be.
That's right.
Jeff's favorite food is.
Everything.
Yeah, Jeff doesn't know the answer to that.
There you go.
He eats anything and everything.
Jeff's proudest achievement is. You better get this right.
Being married to me, obviously.
Yes.
Be able
Absolutely,
to
you
keep
got
me
it right.
around.
Because that's exactly what he better have said. Yeah. All right. And something that most people would be surprised to know about Jeff is.
That's a hard one because Jeffrey is very much what you see. That is who he is.
What you
like,
get?
yeah.
All right.
So
I'm very transparent in keeping with the government analogies.
All right. So Jeff, opposite direction. And I know you think you got it all figured out. You've had a chance to think about it, but I'm gonna spin the wheel on you. If Sarah were a superhero, her power and her name would be what?
Oh, I don't know about. Her power would be stopping me from spending, and her name would be No Fun Girl.
we're being kind.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So let me change my answers.
No, if Sarah didn't stop me from spending, we'd be in a world of hurt. Oh my gosh. Well, my guess, we live in Texas and the weather can be harsh here. Sarah's a huge gardener.
Oh,
I would guess that her superpower would be something along the lines of making things grow in Texas.
green thumb in it. Just touch.
Green thumb.
She's
Yeah.
the green thumb woman. She comes in touches it and it just flourishes, right?
The green thumb actually sounds like a pretty awesome superhero name. So,
Right?
It does.
She puts on her glasses,
Interesting.
you can't tell who she is, but then she takes them off and she grows things.
That's right. Yep.
Right. All right,
She
my
got a
final
hard
one.
job
I'm going to
being
make it easy on you, Jeff. If Sarah were president, the first thing she would do would be.
Ooh. I think the first thing Sarah would do if she were president would be. See, I'm too involved in policy stuff, so I'm going straight to like what she could actually do, if she had the House and Senate.
How about bring down the price of beef, man? Just
Bring down the price of eggs might be one.
Yeah.
No, I think we've
Give
talked about
mom
this.
more time off.
That's what I
There
was
you
about
go.
to say. That's exactly what I was about to say. And I think it would go with the dads too.
that's
It would
right.
be more
Paternity
paternity
leave, maybe.
leave and
Yeah.
maternity. Yep.
Awesome.
About that.
Awesome. Great. Well, that's it for me, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to
Great.
get to know you here, and I look forward to actually meeting and being with you guys in Philadelphia.
Yes. I
Yes.
cannot
Yes.
wait to meet you guys in Philadelphia.
It's gonna be fun.
Yes, we will have to get everybody together. So definitely, because Sarah will be there, Lakeisha will be there. So yes, we all have to get together.
It's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna have a lot of things to connect on from what I've heard over the last hour.
Definitely, definitely. Well, guys, this has been an absolute thrill to have you guys here. Sarah, thank you for indulging us. Chris, thank you for coming along. You are an excellent co-host. I'm going to have you. You're welcome back anytime. I'm going to call you again. So, thanks so much. And with that, we'll say goodbye and see you next time.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.